Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes. I'm delighted this afternoon to be joined by Kevin McCluskey, who is dialing in all the way from Budapest in Hungary. You are our Hungarian correspondent. It's been a massive season. It's been a massive turnaround over the last couple of years almost under Ange Postecoglou. And today, Kevin, is the pinnacle of this campaign so far because we have an opportunity to go to Tynecastle and to win the league. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty confident about this one, Paul, must admit. Yes. I've seen the team. I don't know if every one of the watchers, viewers will have seen it, but it's a very strong team. It's one that just gives you the confidence that Ange isn't taking this game lightly. He knows the importance of it. I'm very much looking forward to speaking to you in 2 hours' time as champions again.
Yeah, I mean, the live streaming element of Acsom obviously came into being during the pandemic. It was a necessity, really, Kevin, when obviously everybody still wanted to talk about Celtic and still wanted to watch the games, but we were all cooped up in our respective houses and all over the world. And I think that we started a routine at that time whereby at full time on every game we go live. And sometimes it's difficult when it's like a cup final or a semi-final like the other week. But we are watching the game at the same time from the comfort of our respective homes in Budapest and Dalkeith, of course, and elsewhere because we've got Acsom contributors from all over the place, from Ireland, from England, from Japan and from Australia, as well as plenty in Scotland as well. So we will be doing that. No matter what happens today, we'll be going live at full time. We will be enjoying the celebrations as much as we possibly can. Obviously, very few Celtic fans really, when you look at the great scheme of things, the amount of demand for a game like this today, very few Celtic fans will be able to enjoy it in person, which is always a pity, Kev.
Yeah, it was always the thing. Before we moved out here, it was always the thing. You had to be at the game when you won the league. I remember being at Kilmarnock the season we won it under Strachan when Nakamura scores the last tick of the ball free kick, and it's an unbelievable experience. It's one that you'll never forget. It's amazing no matter where you are in the world. Again, I can think back to watching a game in Poland when we beat Dundee United in the year that Tommy Burns died, when Big Vinegar gets the header. And that was amazing. There was the emotion of that night as well, watching it in a pub in Warsaw, I think we were in. And it was great, but it doesn't beat being there. Nothing beats being there on these occasions. To be involved in it, you get the full range of emotions, the passion, everything that goes with the game, and it's unreal. It's that one where Nakamura scores. Grown men around me, like I don't know how old I would have been there, mid-20s anyway. There's grown men around you and floods of tears because it means so much. Mm-hmm. And you don't get that with anything else in your life, really.
We've spoken about that. By the way, James, the band James, were in that crowd along with you. Saul Davis and Tim Booth were in there, celebrating big pals, of course, with Gordon Strachan, who was a gaffer at the time. But you're right, we've spoken about this before, whereby, even if you go further back to, the origins of the game, the working class man, as it was back in the day, but now the working class in terms of families go to watch the football. And where else, like you say, where else do you get that range of emotions? Where else can you go into an open space and jump about and sing and dance and all that? Nowhere else. You'd probably get locked up anywhere else if you started behaving like that. But at the football,
exactly. When you try and explain that to somebody that's not a football person, you get looked at like you're a madman.
What did you do on a Saturday afternoon?
I know. Well, if I told you, you'd probably have a completely different opinion of me, kind of thing. It's mental. I try and explain what it means to my wife because she's not a football person. She doesn't get it. And she just looks at me with that expression of, you're an idiot. But when you're there, you're not, and it means so much more.
Or we all are. Maybe we all
are,
and that's
but we're all idiots together. So that's the main thing.
Exactly. We can accept it. And of course, with regards to the lockdown and everything else, once we came out of that lockdown and going back to the games, we had established obviously what it is we're doing right now. So that's made it difficult. personally, for me to go to as many games as I'm used to. So hopefully next season we're working on a way where that will be possible. But we'll keep you informed on that. We'll definitely always cover the games. We'll definitely always have a 12:30 bulletin. But we are looking to expand a Celtic state of mind. So stay tuned. Now, Marky was quick off the mark here because he says that there's no surprises. It is a very strong lineup. And I'm going to read it out for anyone who's not seen it. We've got Joe Hart in goals. Tony Ralston coming in at right back for Anthony Johnson. Anthony Johnson? Who's Anthony Johnson? He was a singer. He was a singer, wasn't he?
He
had
won
that really kind of
the Ivor
haunting
Novello
voice.
award
He
thing.
did.
Yeah.
And was it Anthony and the Johnsons? Was Anthony and the Johnsons?
Yes, I think that is what it was. Aye.
Sorry to Alistair Johnston, who is our Canadian right back. Tony Ralston's coming back in. Greg Taylor at left back. We spoke about perhaps resting him at some point. Big game today, he's in. And the two centre halves are Starfelt and Kobayashi. I think when we've seen them previously, the few times that we've seen them, they've looked good. I think also when you look at the situation with the centre halves, we've got a partnership in Starfelt and Carter Vickers that has done so well for Ange Postecoglou. And then you look at some of the other things that Ange has tried to do. He's tried to give game time to Stephen Welsh. He had the situation with Chris Julian, which was a very difficult situation. We finally offloaded him. We brought in Maurice Jens and he goes away. So we're now seeing a situation where, right, okay, Carter Vickers is out injured. He's getting an operation and we bring in Kobayashi. Let's have a good look at him between now and the end of the season. We do have another contributor waiting in the wings, and it is none other than
Jota on the wings.
It could well be. He's wearing the kit just like Jota, and it's Liam Carrigan. How are you, my friend?
Good. Apologies, guys. To use Scottish parlance, it is pissing down outside, and I probably look a wee bit windswept and interesting as a result. Yep. How are we all doing? We good?
We're good. We're good. We're gearing up. We're gearing up. We're running through the lineup, and once we've done that, we'll have a right good chat about the players who are going to be hopefully bringing the title home to Celtic Park. Midfield trio is McGregor, O'Reilly and Hatate, so unchanged from the game against Rangers. And then up top is the same in that we've got Jota, Maeda and Kyogo. Let's have a look at the bench as well. Bain, Haksabanovic, Abada back on the bench. We've got Moy, Turnbull, Iwata, Bernabe and Lawal. So a very strong team indeed, Liam. But did we expect anything less, really?
Yeah, I mean, my only surprise really is that Hatate is starting. I would have put Iwata in because I think this will be a more physical game today. And also, you know, Rayo did a good shift last week, but he didn't look 100% to me. So, but of course, Ange has had another week to look at him in training and maybe thinks he's far enough along now that he can go back in. So I'll trust the manager's judgment on that one.
Yeah, for sure. It's good to see Abada back on that bench. And of course, we've had Rocco Vata being on the bench recently. Lawal is the man on the bench, probably due to Carter Vickers' injury, I would suggest. We'll have a wee look at the Hearts lineup as well before we dig into the Celtic one a little bit further. And they line up as Clark, Herring, Shankland, Devlin, Rolls, or Rills, we'll call them Rolls, Mackay, Cochrane, Sibic, Ginnelly, Hill, and Oda on the bench. Stewart, Kingsley, Grant, Keogh, Atkinson, Halliday, Forrest, Humphreys and Tate. So that is who we're lining up to face. They've had a topsy-turvy season, Kev.
Yeah, I was just looking at their recent results before jumping on. Obviously they won 6-1 last week, I think it was, against Ross County, so it's a massive result, big win. But they'd lost seven of the previous 8 games before that. So yeah, for a team that wants to be seen as the third best in the country, they're not going about it in the right way. They've had a really up and down season, very topsy-turvy, like you say. A side that just struggles for consistency. They've got some decent players in there. There's a few threats you need to watch out for, like Shankland and Ginnelly usually causes a few issues. It's a decent team, but they're the same as everyone else in the league. They just don't have the consistency to keep it going for a full season. And they've struggled in the last kind of quarter of the season because they just don't have what it takes.
And they're reactive, like a lot of Scottish clubs, they are reactive. And I think that when you, by the way, you were talking about being the third force in Scottish football. That's self-proclaimed. That's coming from them. They've been pretty vocal about that. They want to be the third choice. I mean, it wasn't that long ago they were interviewing fans outside Tynecastle, and they were actually saying, no, we could win the league, which was, I thought, even at the time, pretty bizarre. I love ambition. But then you follow that up with sacking your gaffer. And then again, as I say, it's that reactive nature of it. We've seen managerial changes at so many of the clubs in this league. I'm going to bring in as many comments as possible before we dig into the team that we hope can bring us the result we need tonight. Paddy Lavery, welcome back. The real coronation today. Yes, I deliberately stayed away from most broadcasts and social media for a large part of yesterday for obvious reasons. Glenn Lipty, only crown that matters. 100%. There's a wee trend developing in here. And a good wee teaser from Jungle Lion. Welcome back. Was Gerard booing or singing last night? Makes you wonder. Yeah, he's a confused wee guy these days, isn't he, Stevie G? But anyway, who really cares about Stevie G? Right, let's talk about the Celtic team and the back five first and foremost. It's always great when you bring in a player to see him. Kobayashi was like a hidden kind of nugget for so long, but you know plenty about him, Liam. What should we expect to see today?
I expect a thoroughly professional and seamless performance from him. He's got the platform today to prove that he can step in whenever Carter Vickers or Starfelt is out. So I think he will grab that today and he will show us what he's all about, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Additionally, it's going to be good for Starfelt to be playing in his natural position for a change.
Yeah.
So I think, Carter Vickers is obviously our best defender, and him not being there is weakening the defence slightly. But I do think Kobayashi's a more than capable deputy, and I think that you'll see a better player in Starfelt as well because he's playing what he should be playing. So I really am very positive about what he's going to do today.
Yeah, and I mean, it is an important kind of point to make regarding Starfelt, because we all accept, Kevin, that Carter Vickers is the main man. But Starfelt's performances, and I think in particular this season, have been tremendous. I mean, you watch him against Rangers. The only reason I think he didn't get man of the match is because Carter Vickers was so good. But, Starfelt was brilliant as well. And, he's somebody who's came out, I was going to say come out of left field because of where we signed him, because, we've had plenty of Swedish players in the team. But the league that we signed him from, he's thrown right in at this very ground, actually, to make his debut. And, the gaffer has since spoken about the fact that he had no time to integrate himself with his teammates, with the style of play, or any of that kind of stuff. So you look back on last season and think he's going through all that. He's adapting. He's acclimatising. He's getting used to the culture of Scotland and Scottish football. And this season, I think we have seen the real deal. Okay, now and again, there's a wee bit of a heart and mouth moment. But going back to what Liam says, he's playing out of his natural position. He's using a lot of his unnatural foot when he's got the ball, which is a lot when you look at the amount of passing that comes from Starfelt. But this season, I just think he has been a titan in the centre of that defence.
He's been tremendous, especially for me over the last month and a half. I would say he's really just upped his game to a new level, and that kind of coincides with Carter Vickers and his injury, and that probably affecting his game. You saw it at the last Glasgow derby at Parkhead, when Carter Vickers gets the booking after, what was it, 8 minutes or something like that. He can't go near a player for the rest of the game. So Starfelt stepped up and was awesome. Won every single challenge, I think, in that game. The one last weekend, the Cup semi-final, if you look at the stats, Carter Vickers only just edges it over Starfelt in terms of winning aerial duels. Starfelt was winning, I think he won 10 out of 12 that he went for. Cross balls that were coming in, he was intercepting them. He was reading the play, getting in before the ball was reaching the Rangers players. He'd obviously known that Carter Vickers isn't lasting the season, and that's encouraged him just to step up. And now I think we'll see, as Liam said, with him playing as the right centre-back, you're going to see the real Carol Starfelt, which if we haven't been seeing that over the last month and a half, makes you wonder how good he'll actually be. Because he is. I think he's a really good player. I think his reading of the game is top level. And he does look awkward on the left because it's just not his natural side. But on the rare occasion he has played on the right, you see that he's a lot more comfortable on the ball. The passes out to the fullback and into the midfield are a lot more accurate. He's just doing the things that he's more comfortable doing. He's not a ball playing centre back. He's a defensive centre back. But when he gets the ball on his right foot on the right side and does the simple things, he does it so well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what he can do there, and also hugely looking forward to seeing what Kobayashi brings, because I've been massively impressed by him in the few games he's played. The one at Kilmarnock, which I think was his last game when he stepped in for Carter Vickers, he was brilliant. And he is a ball playing centre back, and you could see that with the balls he was playing over the top for Maeda to get him behind. I think it's him that plays the pass before Taylor's pass for the O'Reilly's first goal, so he gets that kind of secondary assist in it, but he's got the vision. He knows how to play it. Again, fairly strong aerially. I've got a little doubt about him aerially, but he's fairly strong, but really good on the ground. And I think now that he's got the last 5 league games and a cup final, so 6 games, that will really bed him in. And next season, you've got a really top player pushing both Starfelt and Carter Vickers for a starting place.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to this year's Christmas advert, because obviously Ian Crocker let it out the bag that Jacinta and Starfelt are an item, and I'm pretty sure the marketing team will be all over it as well.
Broke the hearts of many a man when he broke that news, I'll tell you.
Aye, Starfelt's gorgeous, right enough. Right back and left back.
That's what I was meaning.
Of course, Ralston and Taylor. Tony Ralston, by the way, 13 appearances this season, Liam, right? He's just a guy that's so dedicated. His attitude is brilliant, so low key. We've said before, he's a kind of manager's dream, low maintenance, right? You could drop him 1 week, play him the next, you're still going to get the same approach from him, aren't you?
Aye, and that's the advantage of having as much as we have great players from far away, like Kyogo, like Starfelt, like Carter Vickers. Ralston is that old school of a local boy made good, and I think that shows in his attitude as well. He's just delighted to be a part of what Celtic are, even if this season he hasn't been a starring attraction. He's just really happy to be part of the team, and that shows in his attitude.
Yeah, it really does. And again, he's one of the guys that's been right through the mire. He went from whipping boy to the kind of guy we're talking about now. And obviously, the left back, similarly, obviously, he's been on a different kind of career trajectory, Kevin, but not always a fan's favourite, Greg Taylor.
Far from it at times, aye. Again, you talk about Ralston, yeah, he's the guy that's come through the ranks and he knows exactly what it means to play for Celtic. It's his dream, it's all he's ever wanted to do, and he must, as you say, be a manager's dream. But what a season he's had in terms of just injuries and disappointment. Every time it's looked like he's maybe going to break in, when Juranovic was there, he would get an injury. Then Johnston comes in, and Johnston's been fantastic. So it's unfortunate that there has to be an injury that gets him back in the team. But again, I'm really hopeful for him that he can go on and recover his form from last season, because he was brilliant. But yeah, Greg Taylor, what a job he had to come in as a Celtic player to replace Kieran Tierney, the best fullback we've had for a generation, probably. And everyone's expecting Tierney to be the same, and he was never going to be. So he's always had that, I think, to live up to. A fairly average fullback, I would say, up until the last couple of seasons, but he just went out and did his job. Now under Ange, he's developed into such an important player. I don't think anybody knew he had the range of passing on him that he's got. It's incredible. The amount of times he just steps forward, picks a pass, sets something up, starts an attack going. And he's absolutely won round any and all of the doubters that he had from even just this time last season. When he scores the goal against Rangers in the Cup semi-final last season, you could tell it meant so much to him. And that was his turning point, I suppose, because from that point on, he was getting the benefit of the doubt, and his performance level has been nothing short of sensational for me. Anyway, I just think he's such a key player, and it's another one that's just great to see. A homegrown player coming through, getting the fans on side now as well. Just a top player to have in the team.
Yes, and you look at Ange and what he is able to get out of players, Liam. Now, not every player. It's not a magic wand. I mean, he's come in and there's been guys that it's just not happened for them, and he's had to move them on. And I think the fact that he identifies it pretty quickly and moves them on is key. But Ralston, he's a player who has been resurrected under Ange Postecoglou. Taylor has developed incredibly under Ange, and Joe Hart as well. His career has been resurrected under Ange Postecoglou. He seems to have a knack of doing it, Liam.
Well, if you look at it, most of our defence are players who have got their second chance under Ange and seized it. You know, Joe Hart was an outcast at Spurs. Mm-hmm. So was Cameron Carter-Vickers. Came to Celtic with the right attitude, and Ange moulded them into the integral members of the squad that they are today.
Yeah.
Same for Ralston, same for Greg Taylor. Obviously Starfelt came in at the start of Ange's reign, but I do think that Ange's approach has helped him as well. He has took a wee bit longer to bed in than the rest of the guys, but that entire back line, I think the manager has had a tremendous positive influence on them, and you really can't understate that.
No, for sure. It's a great point you make about Carter Vickers, actually. I never mentioned him. But you're right, he was a bit of a kind of nomad. He had a bit of a nomadic existence as a footballer, so many clubs, and we've given him a home, and Ange's obviously nurtured that as well.
You forget that about Carter. I think you forget that about Carter Vickers because he's been so good.
Aye.
And you just... You can't imagine that he was never a first choice somewhere else.
We've never really seen a different version of him, Kevin, have we?
No, we've only ever seen the top class version.
Brilliant. Thanks everybody for getting involved at 600 live on the live stream. It's a big day for Celtic fans all over the world, and we do appreciate you tuning in to a Celtic State of Mind before the big game. If you want, you can give us a wee thumbs up on the YouTube channel because that helps. And bizarrely enough, somebody mentioned about us getting 700. One of the commenters mentioned about us getting 700 likes on a video. We'd never had that until yesterday. So a video for last week got 700 thumbs up. Must have been particularly good. I couldn't have been on it. Must have been one of the days I took off. Right, so here we go. We've also got Pancho McCafferty. Interesting combination of names there, Pancho. Hello, Paul from Cape Town, South Africa. Hail, hail the Celtic. God bless. And as this clearly demonstrates, people are tuning in from all over the world, keen to see Celtic wrapping up 2 in a row. Gav Johnston. Kev, my wife's like that too. Ha ha. This was a conversation, Liam, before you joined the party.
Right.
And that Kev was saying his missus has no interest in football whatsoever and thinks he's a bit of an idiot when he goes on about the emotional attachment you have to a particular football club. Don't know if you want to expand on that, Kev.
I was going to say, you could probably just have left it. She thinks I'm a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
And, that's probably where that one starts and ends.
Yeah, but the thing Liam was talking about last week when we're talking about the trip to Japan and South Korea was the fact that your good lady's going to get to see Celtic for the first time as well, Liam, and that's so important on these trips. It's going to be the same there at the end of the year in Sydney. There's a lot of people there who will be watching Celtic for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that there's probably a lot of people in Japan in the same boat as me, perhaps people from Scotland or from Ireland who have Japanese partners and are going to be taking them to see Celtic for the first time. And, in turn, if some of them bring their kids along, that's hopefully going to be a whole new generation of Celtic fans in the making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just catches from there. We point from Robert if we're looking at what we're going to get from our opponents. Robert reckons Hearts know they can't win this today. I expect them just to put the boot in. And I think that, last week, one of the features of the game that we have spoken about, we never laboured the fact, was the poor refereeing, from kick-off, where there really wasn't a handle on that game. Too many players got away with too many niggly tackles, and Hearts are that type of team. So, yes, I think they need to get a grip of that straight off the bat. In the midfield trio of McGregor, O'Reilly and Hatate. McGregor, I mean, I don't know in relation to resurrecting careers and all this kind of stuff, but you'll look at the McGregor in Neil Lennon's final season, Kevin, and you see a guy who was a wee bit lost, I felt. He was coming off twice after games, looking a bit bemused and actually saying that he didn't know what the game plan was. I was a wee bit concerned about the future of Callum McGregor. Ange comes in, gives him the captain's armband, and he's been unbelievable ever since.
Yes. I felt immensely sorry for Callum McGregor during that season, because he seemed to be the one that got put in front of the cameras after every single game, after every poor performance, and you could see, like you're saying, he was shrinking in front of the cameras. He had the really hunched shoulders and looking down and being asked what went wrong, and he didn't have an answer. And there was more than one time when he said, I don't know what's going wrong. I don't know how we change this. And it felt horrible for him to be in that position, in that situation. And coming in and making him the captain, I am the first one to say I thought that was a mistake at the time, because I didn't see that Callum McGregor was a captain. I don't know what I was looking for in my captain, but I didn't think Callum McGregor had it, to be fair. I didn't think he was a guy. I thought he was too quiet. I think that's probably what it was. I didn't think he was going to be the guy that could get the players up, especially after that season. And it's the tastiest bit of humble pie I've ever had to eat in my life when I eat my words on that one, because McGregor's been a fantastic captain. He's got the nastiness that we talk about at games now.
Yeah.
When he goes in, he's shouting things at Borna Barisic during games and getting right up him. He's putting in the wee niggly tackles. He's walking away from them with a smile on his face, the wee cheeky grin. And he's scoring the big goals. The game up at Aberdeen at Pittodrie that we did for the charity weekender.
Yeah.
When we were pretty dreadful, really, for the whole game. Forrest comes on, lays it off. McGregor gets the goal in the last couple of minutes. And he's done that. He's done that fairly regularly. He's proven himself to be captain material. And he's up there with the likes of a Paul McStay, I would say, in terms of what he brings to the club as a captain, because he gets it inside out again as well, and he makes sure the other players get it as well. And I'm going to just take Paddy Lavery's comment that's come in there. I do hang my quiff in shame at not thinking Callum could have been the captain that he's turned out to be. Absolutely.
What, you hang your quiff in shame?
Well, that's what he said. So I hang my head in shame anyway.
Copy Traders Club, this is one for Liam. Are you going to have plenty of sleeping bags for us all coming over to the Japan tour?
Oh, I think we're going to have a word with the wife about that one.
Have a word with the boss, absolutely. Peter McNamara, Celtic are family club worldwide. I see that when I attended the NAF CSC in Las Vegas, the convention. Tim's from across the globe, rather. A must holiday for any. I've never actually been, for any Celtic fan. I think it'd be great to go with Acsom at some point. And then up top, if you want to see entertainment, you've got Jota, Maeda, Kyogo. Big question, Liam. Will Kyogo get that 30th goal of the season? You seem to have been talking about that for weeks.
I think so. Yeah, I think today's the day. Because, the interesting thing, just more generally about the team, if you look at it in the last month, we've beaten Rangers twice. We've navigated some tricky games in the league. And yet, I don't think we've played anything near our peak in any of those games. So,
yeah,
people say, oh, well, Celtic have to lose a game eventually. Maybe, but going the other way, we're also due to go out and batter somebody as well by the law of averages. So 100%. I think
100%.
I think that today might just be that day for Kyogo and hopefully a few others as well.
I hope so. We got a glimpse of that, didn't we, against Kelly in the first half hour? It looked as though we were going to take them to the cleaners, Kev. But Liam's right. If we were to do that even for an hour, but, heaven forbid for 90 minutes, we would take a team to the cleaners, and, it would be tremendous if it was today. We've seen a few predictions coming in, 4-0, etc. I'd be delighted with a 4-0 at Tynecastle today. It doesn't always work that way. We had a lot of confidence going into that Rangers game the other week, Kev. There was predictions of 4-0, 4-1. We took a 1-0. Happy with the 1-0. Absolutely brilliant defensive performance when required. And there's a resilience to this team and an attitude where we know we're going to win. We're going to find a way. And we did. We did find a way. But yeah, if this week is the week that we click and we play that free-flowing football that we know we can, and we carve open that defence, it would be absolutely gleeful. Jungle Lion actually was asking, which away stadium have we clinched most leagues at? It's a great question. I was going to say Easter Road. I seem to think back in the day there was a few clinched at Easter Road. But I don't know the answer. So if you do know the answer, let us know. I don't know if it's something that's been discussed or if it's been on the socials this week. Which away ground have we won most leagues at? It's a great question. So I am going to finish up this pre-match with a prediction from you. Kevin McCluskey, how's it going to go this afternoon?
I I think we're going to go out there. We're going to give it a Kilmarnock-esque first half performance, and we're going to have the league won by half time. That said, now this is just for this one. The women's team won their game today, 2-1, with a 95th minute goal from Caitlin Hayes. If we're winning 2-1 with a 95th minute goal for Carol Starfield today, I'll be equally as happy as if we go and put 5 or 6 past them.
Good on you for pointing that out as well, because obviously they are needing every result between now and the end of the season. Liam, are we going to get that free-flowing football we saw in the first 27 minutes at Kilmarnock?
Yep, I said during the week 4-0, and I'm going to stick with that 4-0. But if we do get that level we got against Kilmarnock, it might be 4-0 by half time. Who knows?
Oh, I hope so. Listen, we'll be back at half time and full time. Regardless of what happens, we will be here when the referee's whistle blows. Go and enjoy the game, go and enjoy the party, and join us at half time. Thanks everybody for getting involved, and thank you to Kevin McCluskey and Liam Carrigan for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.